Today I'm going to pay tribute to Simon Belmont, one of the best-known video game characters from the NES era. Since his 1986 debut in the first Castlevania, Simon has appeared as a central character in 8 different games, although the bulk of these are considered remakes of the original. And in most of these incarnations, he's awesome. There's no shortage of video game heroes who slaughter hordes of bad guys and who perform incredible feats of strength and bravery and agility. But for my money, few of them can hold a candle to Simon Belmont. Simon Belmont is the very definition of badass. At first glance, he's not all that remarkable. He's your typical late 80s, early 90s action hero, a smirking, ripped, blonde-haired, sun-kissed Patrick Swayze clone with the kind of chin cleavage that deserves its own bra. Here he strikes a generically cocky pose, begging us to lump him in with countless other protagonists from that era. He's almost forgettable, unless you've seen him in action. First, let's consider his primary weapon. Most video game characters wield guns or swords or some kind of magic, but not Simon Belmont. He, in his awesomeness, wields a whip, specifically an enchanted whip known as the Vampire Killer. As you might guess from the name, it's useful for killing vampires. But in Simon's capable hands, it's also good for destroying zombies, demons, bats, panthers, crows, skeletons, golems, medusas, medusa heads, haunted furniture, mermen, lizardmen, sandmen, fleamen, rockmen, Frankenstein's monster, mummies, possessed suits of armor, floating eye things, whatever that is, dancing ghosts, flying chunks of wall, two-headed sea serpents, evil paintings, wood spirits, migraine auras, coffins, zombie dogs, frogs, bone dragons, harpies, and pretty much anything or anyone else that gets in Simon's way. He kills them all with a whip. Think about that. He whips his enemies so hard it kills them. He also smashes through walls and other obstacles, including solid rock. That's hardcore. And you'll notice, these aren't your typical enemies. Most of them are demons and ghosts and other supernatural monsters, the kind of creatures that if you actually came face to face with one, it would haunt you for the rest of your life. But Simon doesn't even blink. Whether he's confronted with a painting that weeps blood, or an entire hall filled with dancing specters, or an enormous fanged skull with a tongue made of poop, he doesn't care. He's got a job to do, and he does it well. The first time Simon kills Dracula, Dracula manages right before he dies to place a curse on him. In the following years, the curse slowly drains Simon's life force until finally, when he's almost dead, he realizes what's happening. So what does he do? He gets up off his sickbed, fights his way through legions of monsters, collects up all of Dracula's remains, and resurrects him, just so he can kill him again and break the spell. So much for that curse. And on those rare occasions when things don't go his way, he still doesn't complain. Notice in Super Castlevania 4, when he takes damage, he just says, "Oh." That's it. "Oh." He sounds more surprised than distressed. It's like he's amazed that something was actually able to hurt him. Even when he falls to his certain death, he just says, "Oh." And then it echoes. 'Cause he's a badass. Do you ever wonder how he occupies himself when he isn't fighting Dracula? Does he do crossword puzzles, paint portraits, sing ballads, work on his beloved family farm? No, he trains to fight Dracula. He works from sunup to sundown, conditioning his body and honing his skills and maintaining his arsenal, because he knows that Dracula could return at any moment. Technically, in the Castlevania mythos, Dracula is only supposed to appear every 100 years, but really he just turns up whenever he feels like it, because Dracula's crazy like that, and Simon knows it. He understands that any day, at any time, a knock could sound at his door. What?
Mr. Belmont?
What?
Dracula's back.
You're serious?
Yeah, Dracula's back and he's unleashing his unholy army. Monsters are attacking everywhere. Medusa heads and giant bats and bone dragons and evil spirits and every kind of demon you can think of. Death is sweeping across the countryside. The heavens are darkening and all hope and joy are vanishing from the world and soon we'll all be destroyed. Armageddon is upon us.
All right, I'll go get my whip. You know how when some people watch monster movies, they yell advice at the characters on screen? Okay, there's a skeleton coming at you. That's scary. That's freaking scary, but it's not coming very quickly. You can probably run away. Or you can fight the thing. It's just a skeleton. Hit it. You have a whip? Whip it. No? Just... Okay, the screaming isn't helping, and that's acid that you're standing in front of. You need to walk away from the acid, and don't scream. You need to run away before the skeleton push... Oh, man. In Castlevania games, it's tempting to yell advice at the monsters on screen. It's hard not to feel sorry for them, because they don't have a clue what they're up against. Okay, skeleton, you can't beat this guy. You gotta drop the sword and run. Run, man, he's wasting you. Run away. You still have time. Drop the sword, get away. Oh, you're screwed. I warned you. Okay, you don't want to go that way, zombie. Simon Belmont's right up there. Don't you see him? He's right up there. Now he's behind you. Run! Run! You're not gonna... Oh. In a way, Simon Belmont is a bit like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, except he slaughters monsters instead of people. He's nearly unstoppable. His only consistent weaknesses are spikes and large bodies of water. The spikes make sense, but the water thing has always seemed a little weird to me. You'd think someone as tough as Simon would know how to swim. But maybe there were no lakes in the village where he grew up, or maybe all that armor he wears drags him down. All I know is, whenever he falls in deep water, he dies instantly. But even that can't be of much comfort to the monsters, because like Jason and Freddy, even when Simon gets killed, he's never really dead. He always comes back. Or at least, almost always. Simon hasn't featured in a proper Castlevania game since Castlevania Chronicles for the PlayStation in 2001. There have, however, been a lot of appeals from fans to bring him back. Originally, he was going to be the main character in Castlevania Lords of Shadow, but I'm glad he wasn't. In a modern game, developers would feel compelled to flesh him out, which is to say they would probably strip him of his mystique and saddle him with a bunch of emotional baggage he didn't need, or just ruin him utterly. For proof of this, look no further than the atrocity known as Castlevania Judgment and the twerp they have impersonating Simon in that game. A few misguided fans insist said twerp is Simon, but come on. That is Simon Belmont. Notice the aura of pure, unadulterated badass surrounding him and the copious amounts of awesome he exudes. Whereas on the other hand, what the ding-dong f*** is that? Oh wow. No. Just f***ing no. That's a Final Fantasy character in a bondage outfit, or maybe a mid-level boss from a Legacy of Kain title, or something. It's a creative character design, but Simon Belmont it ain't. While we're on the topic, I'm not a huge fan of his design in Chronicles either. Then again, I'll take either of those adaptations over his cartoon portrayal in Captain N. I admit, I probably would get a kick out of seeing a faithful portrayal of Simon Belmont in a new game. But I still hope they don't do it. I'd rather remember him as he was at the height of his 8 and 16-bit glory, as a legend and a powerhouse, almost a demigod, a merciless monster-killing machine. It's not that I don't like complex characters in games, and I'm not necessarily opposed to expanding on older franchises. Some retro game characters have been enriched by giving them backstories and emotions and dilemmas, but it can also strip them of their mystique. Simon Belmont has only the most basic storylines in his games, and that's all he needs. His whole existence is destroying Dracula. We don't have to know his history. We don't have to relate to him. He's more like a force of nature. Besides, the beauty of Castlevania was never about the story. It's about the graphics and music and brilliant level design, and most of all the gameplay, the simple joy of running and jumping and whipping monsters in the face. Man, that's satisfying. Damn monsters. Sometimes you just want to play, and that's when you turn to Simon Belmont. So this is my tribute to the man, the slayer, the ultimate video game badass. I salute you, sir. May you never turn into a pale, angst-ridden emo brat. And may your trusty whip always strike true.